Here's something that you might not know. Sir Isaac Newton invented the colour wheel. The colour spectrum wasn't a new idea, but Sir Isaac Newton was the first one that placed it on a colour wheel in 1666. The colour wheel's roots dated back to the mid-1600s, when his work with white light led to the discovery of the visible spectrum of light, and Newton observed the way each colour of light would bend as it passed through a prism. The colour wheel is a powerful visual communication tool, and learning how to master it can take your artwork to the next level, and understanding it brings freedom to your process. I was once terrified of colour so much that I never even used it in my art. I was a black and white artist. I would use pencil and pen only. The thoughts of using colour absolutely petrified me. I felt like I could ruin my work. I wasn't confident in what I was doing. But it doesn't have to be this scary thing with the power to make or break your work. Simple tips can help you better understand colour and build a relationship with it that can bring great value to your work. I think having a working relationship with colour, a respect and understanding for it, can only add layers of creativity and beauty to your work. So what we're going to be talking about here is just the basics of the colour wheel. This is a really simple understanding of it, and it's just a start as you're building your relationship with colour. It's like any relationship. You start off slow, and as you become comfortable, you add different elements and you start becoming a little bit more fearless. Some of you probably are already there, but I'm speaking to the ones who, like myself, at the start of their journey, were held back by that fear of colour. So the basic understanding of the colour wheel. We have our primary colours. You might have learned this in school. Red, yellow and blue. In traditional theory, all colours can be derived from these three shades. That's why they're called the primary colours. So they're the building blocks of all the other colours that you're going to make. These colours cannot be created by mixing any other colours. So they are our primary colours, and they're the basis for all of the wheels. Our secondary colours are green, orange and purple violet. In addition to the primary colours, they can be created by mixing the primary colours. Our next set of colours are probably the lesser known tertiary colours. So a tertiary colour are colours that are created when a primary colour is mixed with a secondary colour. So an example of tertiary colours are blue green, red orange and yellow green. So next we're going to talk about colour schemes, and colour schemes are a combination of colours used together. So some of the colour schemes are as follows. We can have a complementary colour scheme, and this is when opposites of the colour wheel are used together. That's a complementary colour scheme. So these colours complement each other. The next scheme is called a monochromatic colour scheme, and that's using various shades and tones of one colour. So if you use blue, a light blue, a dark blue, this is a monochromatic colour scheme. The next one is called an analogous colour scheme. So this scheme is used using three colours that are adjacent to each other. The next one is a triad colour scheme. So it's a scheme with three colours that are evenly spaced around the colour wheel, like so. The next one is a split complementary. So it's when you use a colour scheme that uses three colours. So you pick one colour, and then the colours that are on either side of its complementary colour are used there as well. So this will be a split complementary. So some tips to keep in mind when we're creating our piece. How we want the viewer or observer of our artwork to feel. What kind of emotion are we trying to convey in our painting? If we want our painting to come across as warm and inviting and have a fuzzy kind of sense, we want to use warm colours, and warm colours would be reds, oranges and yellows. If we want to give a cooler kind of feeling, we're going to use cool colours, and this is greens, blues and purples. And this might seem like a really simple concept, but once we have these guidelines understood, we can go with our piece with our blocks taken down. So when we're creating our piece, we are not too hung up on what colours we're going to use, what shapes we're going to use, where we're going to go with our doodles. this is all part of a process. You put these understandings in place. You don't have to be hung up on them when you're painting in your process. But when you have a basic understanding of them, it's like putting them into a closet in your mind. They're in there, and when you're painting, it will translate through your painting. You have an understanding of this now, so you will subconsciously be picking colours based on the understanding of how you want your observer to feel when they're looking at the painting, what emotions you're trying to convey. This is an easy way of doing it. So we lay down these basic groundwork for colour understanding and our doodle concepts later on, and we can go at our piece in a more flow kind of state. This doesn't work for everybody, but I find for me, and I might be talking to the people who think like me and who process instructions like me, they're the people I'm talking to here. It might not help everybody. Some people might find that too simplistic or too complicated, but I'm talking in my personal experience. What has worked for me to help me connect to that flow state is laying down these fundamental rules first, getting a brief understanding of them, and then going at my painting from that place. So we also have we keep in mind as well that certain colours will block out other colours. So we have our complementary colours, but there are colours that won't go well together. So when you're using reds and greens together, they generally kill each other. And yellow is used to mellow out a lot of colours. Yellow and orange in alcohol ink in particular can cause muddiness or browning when used together. So to avoid this, what I do is I would dilute these colours a little bit more than the rest of my colours because they're quite powerful. Red is a powerful colour and it can overpower your painting. So you keep that in mind when this is the kind of the technicalities of it, of painting with alcohol inks. So you keep that in mind when you're deciding how much isopropyl alcohol to dilute your darker colours with. Eggplant as well is the same as that. It doesn't really cause a muddiness, but it can be quite overpowering. So you just remember that these are just guidelines and not rules. So ask yourself, what colours make you feel happy? What are the kind of colours that make you stop and stare? What kind of colour schemes do you like to look at? How do your favourite colours make you feel? Embrace the colour and what feels right for you. But most importantly, have fun with it. Experiment and be fearless in your use of colour. So when we're going at the piece, we don't want to... This lesson here is just a brief overview. Again, I can't stress that enough. It's not a rule that you have to follow. The colour schemes are not rules. They're just a way for people to get out of their own way when they're starting their piece. So if you're having trouble opening yourself up creatively, it's a little bit of a guideline to put in place so that you can connect to that flow. Once you connect to that flow, you'll find that you'll be throwing the colour schemes and your colour wheel out the window. It won't matter anymore because hopefully you will move into an intuitive place of painting, and there's a freedom in that. So this is just a tiny little guideline and a little kind of recap on what you might have already learned in school or known already. It's a refresher on how colour works and to get us thinking again about how it makes us feel and what we're trying to convey when we're painting. But like I said, I wouldn't give it too much thought. Just put it into the back of your mind, have it in there, and have fun with your painting.